Rupert Lowe seems to be obsessed with taking down Nigel Farage.
And this is all because he hates Nigel Farage.
Steve Laws wants anyone who is not white to be deported. That's me, I'm gone.
Youssef, before Jenrick defected, called Jenrick a clown and useless. So why do your colleagues call you Zia useless? The two of them separately would like to be in charge, and this is not a good look.
He's back and he's done a scathing article about Labour.
There's a civil war going on as we speak. He's the only Labour Prime Minister that was elected 3 times, and yet now they spit on it. The Labour Party, as a mainstream party, will be finished.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Expresso. I'm JJ Anisiobi, but more importantly, this is the wonderful Carole Malone.
I love how you say more importantly. Because it's so right.
You look great, Carole.
Well, thank you. Do you know what? This is a cheap old shirt from. Do you remember Benetton, which is now long clothes?
Benetton, yes. But United Colours of.
But I just couldn't. I don't know. You don't know what to wear when it's this hot.
It's
because
horrible.
Whatever you wear is going to look like a rag after 5 minutes.
True.
So if it looks all right, I'm happy about that.
It looks all right.
Well,
I'll give it 5 out of 10.
Oh,
it looks all right.
Well, it is
average.
It is Benetton.
Let's get straight in
Right.
to Restore Britain.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about Restore Britain too much on this show.
Well, we don't, because they're a minority far-right party.
They are.
Who haven't got a cat and hell's chance of ever becoming a serious political party or, in fact, winning any election.
But Rupert Lowe seems to be obsessed with taking down Nigel Farage.
You know what? I mean, just set the scene for people. In Makerfield, they did a poll at the weekend, and it said that Labour's Andy Burnham was winning by 43%, Reform was second place at 40%, and Restore had 7% of the vote. Now, that 7% doesn't sound like much, but it's incredibly important because it could catapult Andy Burnham into Downing Street.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd think the decent thing that Rupert Lowe would do, Rupert Lowe, who is the leader of this Restore Party, you think the decent thing would be to stand aside. He hates everything that the Labour Party, and particularly Andy Burnham, stand for. Everything that Rupert Lowe wants for Britain is not what Andy Burnham is going to do for Britain. And yet, in an act of spite, self-sabotage, hate, anger, I don't know what, he's fielded a candidate there. And this is all because he hates Nigel Farage with a passion. He sees Farage as being responsible for him being kicked out of Reform. Mm-hmm. And the thing was, Rupert Lowe always believed he should be the leader of Reform. Yes, he had a great social media presence, but that was it.
Yeah.
You know, Farage was the star of Reform, was then, is now. Mm-hmm. But Rupert Lowe didn't like that, and so started causing trouble within the party. He was asking he was asking questions that would embarrass the party, and the party didn't like it. He was doing it publicly. He was asking these questions. Also swirling around him at the time, there was some bullying and two bullying and harassment claims from 2 women who said he had bullied them. He denied them, and he said that it wasn't true. But he, to this day, believes that they were just a smokescreen for Farage trying to kick him out of the party, which is nonsense because an independent KC looked at these bullying and harassment claims and said there was credible evidence that it had happened. We're in a situation now where he's not addressing something else, and what he's not addressing is the fact that one of his big backers, I think it's a guy called Steve Laws, is actually... And this guy, when I say this is a far-right party, something like Steve Laws backs that up big time.
Yeah.
This is a guy, Steve Laws, who says that Hitler was a misunderstood politician. He was a pretty nice guy. He cast doubt on the Holocaust. He cast doubt whether 6 million people died or not. Mm-hmm. And he thinks Hitler was he was just misunderstood, a bit of a nice guy. But
Steve Laws wants anyone who is not white to be deported.
And
so
it does,
that's me, I'm gone.
That's you got.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. And so, but he counts non-white people as Jews. Mm-hmm. And so he wants all Jews to be deported as well, despite the fact that, the majority of Jews who live here were born here and born, raised and whatever. But this is what's causing the problem. Now, you would think that Rupert Lowe would immediately say to suspend Steve Laws from the party, kick him out, get rid of him. This is not a good look for his party. But no, Rupert Lowe said, we will not police our membership.
It's nuts, isn't it?
It's just stupid. So that means his membership can say any hideous, horrible thing they want, and they will.
Absolutely.
Once the spotlight gets onto this party and people realise what their policies are, this is a bit like, do you remember the BNP?
Yeah.
This is the BNP with knobs on. Mm-hmm. And Rupert Lowe is pretending that people should be able to say what they want and not be admonished for it. Well, no, they should be. And what he's doing now in Makerfield is he's gonna catapult Burnham into Downing Street, all because he hates Farage. This is the man who for however many years has claimed he's a patriot, that he loves this country, would do anything for this country, except pull out of the Makerfield by-election. And this is nonsense, because if Burnham gets in, Restore are dead in the water in terms of being a body. They're finished. They're never going to get anywhere. And I just... This kind of sums up our politicians to me. They don't give a stuff about this country or the people who live in it. All they care is themselves, their job, their advancement. And Lowe sees Makerfield as a place where he could advance himself. Now, I don't think you should get too excited about Makerfield, because when you look into this recent poll that was done that put Labour on 43%, Reform on 40% and Lowe on 7%, this was a poll done among 363 people. Makerfield has a population of 75,000.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure that this is indicative of how the people of Makerfield are thinking. And I just think, there are sometimes, he could be a hero, Lowe now, if he wanted to be. He could stand aside and say, I love this country and I love it so much, I'm willing to put my personal political ambition to one side.
You're right.
And do the right thing for Britain. And he's not doing that yet. But more importantly, he's letting his party be dragged down by the likes of Steve Laws, who hates Jews, wants them all kicked out of this country. We can't have people walking the streets of this country saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
Steve Laws should be arrested for saying this stuff. We see people getting arrested for hate crimes every day for sending a tweet that's not quite right.
Yeah.
This is just disgusting stuff. And you can bet your sweet life nothing will happen. And it says to me a lot about Lowe that he wouldn't stamp on somebody like Steve Law, that he wouldn't actually say to him, shut up or get out. And the trouble with this is a lot more people like Law are joining the party, a lot of far-right people, a lot of ex-BNP lot, because they see a home for themselves there. They see a home for their disgusting extremist views. Some people would say Reform is a far-right party. Labour would call Reform a far-right party. No, not compared to Restore. It's not.
But isn't it a shame? Essentially, Steve Law's saying these things. If you're not white, you've got to be deported. If you're Jewish, you've got to be deported. That is going to be attractive to some people.
It is. But I think the percentage of people it will be attractive to in Makerfield will be minuscule. I think it's a view that will certainly attract people nationwide. But these are the people who need to be stamped on. We don't want to hear what they have to say. And we never will, because the bottom line is Restore will always be a fringe party. They're a fringe party that can wield some danger. They can be dangerous. I suspect they're the people we see in the demonstrations where when people say the far right are coming today, this is them.
Yeah.
This is Restore people. They are the far right. And we should be stamping on them. But the problem is in Makersfield, they could actually make a difference to the vote. They could just serve Andy Burnham the premiership on a plate, which would be catastrophic for us all.
Between Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib, they are obsessed with taking down Farage and stopping Reform. They're more concerned with that than actually trying to win themselves. I remember when we had Ben Habib on this show, and I like Ben Habib. I think he talks a lot of sense. He's quite a gentle guy, educated. But he was saying to me, all we've got to do is get 4% of the national vote, and that will stop Reform. And I remember saying to him, but surely your aim should be to get yourself elected, not to stop Reform. But but Lowe and Habib
it's fear. They're frightened. They see a political revolution coming. They see a huge change coming, and they're scared of it. And they're scared. I think a lot of politicians now today, my husband and I were talking about this the other day, a lot of politicians are in it now for themselves. They're all terrified for the jobs. They're paid nearly 100 grand a year. They're terrified of losing that money, so they're terrified of sticking their heads above the parapet and saying the wrong thing, getting fired, getting deselected, whatever. So they don't do what they came into politics to do, which is to change things. And I think what people are terrified of in Farage, they see he will change things. He doesn't care how it goes down, what he says goes down with a lot of people. He does what he thinks is right. Now, 20 years ago, Farage was saying, and I remember it, on programmes like Question Time, he was regarded as a far-right, racist, the worst kind of creature.
Yeah.
Because he dared to say, the immigration figures are too high, especially the illegal immigration figures. They're way too high. Now it's a mainstream view. He was ahead of his time in that. It is a mainstream view. And now we see exactly the consequences of what he was talking about 20 years ago. I mean, I think the guy in that sense is a revolutionary. And people are scared of his courage, I think. They're scared of the fact he doesn't care what they think. He doesn't care if what he thinks upsets people. It's what he believes to be right, and it's what he believes a lot of the country believes to be right. And I think he's not wrong in that. I think a lot of the people, I hear a lot of people who are on the side of a stall going, reform is just the Tories now. It's just a mishmash of whatever, and they're going to be
Tory 2.0, yeah.
But it's not going to be that. Farage is never going to let it be that. He had to get, if he's going to get people in who've got political experience, they have to come from another party.
Yeah.
Whether it be Labour, whether it be Tory, whether it be whatever. So that has got to happen. But for some people, Farage can't win. No matter what he does, what he says, what he changes, they will still hate him. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm not entirely sure that reform would run the country well, because they are inexperienced and they will cock some things up without question. Yeah. However, the things I want from the next government, a government that will control the out of control benefits bill,
welfare,
budget, that will control immigration, that will take on, that will help business, that will take on the skivers and the people pretending. That's what I want. It's about 4 things that I want, and I don't think that what I want is different from what a majority of people want. So I don't think he's going to be the perfect prime minister at all. But I think he's going to. I think in his first week, I think he'll take steps to leave the ECHR. Mm-hmm. I think in his second week he'll tackle the benefits budget. Now that for me is that, if that's all he does, that's fantastic for me. But this guy Lowe frightens me, because he's going to feed the kind of people that we don't want in politics, that we don't want to have any kind of stage, any kind of publicity. The people pumping out poisonous views. And, if you think Farage pumps out poisonous views, just listen to what these people are going to do.
Yeah.
It's beyond belief. As you say, you, born and bred here, you'll be out.
Yeah.
And you know what would happen, even if you weren't chucked out? What Restore would do is create an atmosphere against people with brown and black skin.
Yeah.
The kind of atmosphere which we've never seen. So you would be scared, like Jews are now, to walk down the street because of what people are going to do, what people are going to say. Mm-hmm. And they'll feel free to say that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the poison that they spread. Even if they don't get into power, they can spread that kind of poison.
Mm-hmm. Right, a quick pause in the podcast to tell you about our sponsor, Incogni. You had those phone calls from numbers you don't recognise, or you go in your inbox and there's emails for stuff you did not sign up for. Well, that's because someone somewhere is selling your private information. That's where today's sponsor comes in, Incogni. They will contact these people who have been taking your information, and they'll say, "Oi, stop, delete it." Go to the website, incogni.com, you type in the details, 2 minutes later, Incogni are sorting it out for you automatically. And because I love you, I've got you a discount. It ain't 10%, it ain't 20, 60% off. 60% off an annual Incogni plan. Just go to incogni.com/Daily Expresso or click the link in the episode description box below. Right, from restore to reform, because there's trouble in paradise, it seems.
It's been a big kick-off this week between Robert Jenrick of Reform and also Zia Youssef. Now, Zia Youssef is in charge of immigration, and Robert Jenrick is like Chancellor, so Shadow Chancellor. So Jenrick is saying that foreign nationals living in council houses will not automatically be deported.
Yes.
Zia Youssef has come out and said, oh, yes, they will. Reform's policy is that they will be deported, immediately deported. So the two of them are at each other's throats. Now, this was always going to be the case because the two of them separately would like to be in charge of reform, which they never can be.
Yeah.
But if they can't be number one, they both want to be number two.
Yeah.
And they can't both be number two. So Youssef has currently believed he's number two. And Jenrick is trying to kind of unpick that. So, it is beyond stupid where a party this small and this new is already scrapping the way it is.
Yeah.
And all it does is make the public look at them and go, not again. We had all this with the Tories. We cannot do it again. I mean, this is what Jenrick. So Youssef, before Jenrick defected, called Jenrick a clown and useless. And Jenrick hit back and said, so why do your colleagues call you Zia useless? I mean, how old are they? 5?
I do like that though. Zia useless.
Yes.
That's very good.
But how old are these people? Are they 5? Are they 4? Are they in nursery? This is not how politicians behave. But you could see from that back then that there was always going to be problems, So, and you can just imagine that when Farage said he was going to take Jenrick on board, you can imagine Youssef would have been kicking his little feet and stamping and then saying, no, that can't happen.
Yeah.
Because they both want to be the big beast.
Yeah.
Jenrick's a little beast now. I saw him the other day. He's lost so much weight.
Yeah.
He's tiny. Anyway, that's quite
Well, that's Ozempic for you.
Yeah, I think so. but you can't have two of your major ministers at odds with the immigration policy. And the thing that Reform are famous for are their immigration policy. But of course, Labour's Mike Tappy's an immigration minister. He's come back today and he's gone, well, isn't this typical? They have, this is them fighting among themselves, which is rich coming from Labour. There's a civil war going on as we speak inside Labour. They're all at each other's throats, trying to claw each other's eyes out. And Mike Tapp goes, well, this is just typical fighting within Reform. But it isn't a good look for Reform. They are, many would say, a government in waiting. So you can't have two of your top men scrapping over policy, which is clear. It's not like Youssef is making this up. This is the policy.
Yeah.
Foreign nationals will not get free accommodation and they will not get benefits. That's one of the selling points of for them to win the election.
Mm-hmm.
So so Jenrick needs to. Well, I think Youssef would say Jenrick needs to be put back in his box for a bit.
Yeah, so we interviewed former Reform chairman David Ball.
Yeah.
He's disappeared for some reason.
What happened to him?
Well,
haven't got to the bottom of that.
No, I'm investigating it.
Good lad.
I've been asking people around there. Something fishy is going on there. There's definitely something fishy. David Ball dedicated his life to it. He told me it was the honour of his life to be the chairman of that party. And then suddenly, just like that, he's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, there's something fishy going on
Was
there.
he fired or did he walk? That's
well,
what we want to know.
The official line they're putting out is that he steps down because he's exhausted, he's given it his all, and he wants to run to become an MP eventually. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that at all.
That either, because David was committed to reform.
Yeah.
So either it's something he doesn't like that's going on there, or something they don't like what he's doing.
Exactly.
But you can't. They've got to get their act together.
They have to.
They now have all these councils. They've now got to get some decent people. The guy in Makerfield, Robert Kenyon. I mean, already that's falling apart by the look of it.
Because of his past tweets. I mean, one of his tweets said something like, women are bad drivers, I think. Women can't drive.
The thing is,
everyone puts out negative, stuff on. Yeah. I don't. If Tony Blair was Prime Minister still, and then someone said, oh, but when he was at school, he said that women are terrible drivers and they're bad at. I'd be like, I don't really care.
I don't care either. And I think it's pretty pathetic when that's what we're doing. But it's not a good look now. In that, hopefully, the people of Makerfield will see through all that. Robert's family have been in that area for more than 200 years. He knows those people. They know him. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they will say, well, that's nothing we wouldn't have said.
Yeah. Can you drive, by the way?
I can drive.
Really?
Yeah, but I've got to tell you, sometimes I'm very condemnatory of women drivers, I have to say. I say to my husband sometimes, that's a woman driving the car. And he goes, well, that you are. I said, yeah, but I don't drive like that. I drive like a man. I'm aggressive. But some women are not. I was behind one today in a 20-mile limit doing 10 miles an hour. And I'm thinking, what?
I've got to say, my wife is actually a better driver than I am, but she's American. She's used to like the big, massive 4x4 cars. Yeah.
I could do all that. The thing is, I've been driving since I was a babby, and my husband tells me how to drive, and I say, stop it, I've been driving like 15 years longer than you have, stop it. But I think men just automatically assume women are bad drivers.
Yeah.
And some of them are.
Some of them are.
I had to get out on a road once where a woman was stuck. She couldn't back. She was in a big 4x4 and she couldn't back it up. So I had to get out and do it for her. She couldn't back it up, and and I wanted to say to her, she had the good grace to ask me to do it, but I just thought, why are you driving this car? You can't do it.
Cal, you're not helping you're not helping with women at all.
I'm sure this is really boring for our people. They don't care. They want to know about politics. There's my husband now ringing from Romania. So it's as well it's on silent.
Let's move on to Tony Blair.
Yeah.
He's back and he's done a scathing article about Labour.
Yes, 5,700 words worth of scathing. But, everything he said is absolutely right.
What's he saying?
He says Labour has no policy plan. He's saying it's mad to kick out Starmer if you don't have a policy plan for the next person to come in, and that's absolutely right. He says that that the business policies are ridiculous. They've heard business. He said, you can't be doing that. He's talking about the workers' rights laws and saying that is stopping employers from hiring people. So you can't, as a party, be saying you want growth when you're doing the very thing that is going to stop growth. Employers not taking people on, their businesses aren't going to grow. So I think he's absolutely right. But what I find incredible. Oh, the other thing he said is that Labour should be tackling the welfare state, which we know that, and they should be tackling immigration, which we know. We've all been saying that. They don't want to do it. But there's this interesting thing, isn't there, that Blair, when he was at the height of his powers, he had a 93% approval rating. Right? Yeah. As did Maggie Thatcher. And now both of them are seen as hateful figures in history. Now, if the people from today's Labour Party criticising Blair and Thatcher had a fraction, had a half a fingernail's worth of the talent of these two people, they'd be laughing, but they haven't. And yes, Blair did terrible things in his third term. I mean, people might not know this, but I voted Labour. Right until I was 45. And it was in
Labour's... That was a long time ago.
Oh, sure, yes, it was. But it was in Labour's third term that I stopped voting because when he went to war, when he took us into the Iraq War, I couldn't support that. And so I stopped supporting Labour.
Who did you vote for then?
Tories.
Okay.
But you can't get away from the fact he's the only Labour Prime Minister that was elected 3 times in a row. You can't get away from that. He was the longest serving Labour Prime Minister ever. Mm-hmm. Probably one of the best in their history. And yet now they spit on him. And the thing is, if they just listen to some of what he has to say. Yeah. And I don't know why they don't know, the Labour Party now. I don't know why they don't know they should be tackling immigration and welfare reform. But why don't they listen to a guy who actually knows how to run a country and who did it pretty successfully for a lot of years? Yeah. But I've just done a show this morning where people are ringing and say, we hate him. Then you ask them why they hate him. They say, the Iraq War. But then you say, what about the years of prosperity you had when he was in charge of the Labour Party, when he was the Prime Minister? Oh, well, that was a long time ago. It was a different era. I said it was a very prosperous era. Oh, for that now. Yeah. But they, just like a lot of people hate Thatcher, they hate Tony Blair. And so all his experience, everything that he knows and can do, they just spit on it. And it's been spat upon by individuals who couldn't run an egg and spoon race, let alone
they couldn't run a bath.
They couldn't run a bath. That was the first I was thinking of. They couldn't run a bath, never mind a country. And he's given us. He's not trying to edge it. He's not saying I want to be Prime Minister again. He's just trying to say, do it right. Yeah. He's also trying to save the Labour Party, because when they get voted out at the next election, which they will as sure as night follows day, they're never going to be in power again for decades. Yeah. This is it. The Labour Party, as a mainstream party, will be finished. And I think that he's just trying to stop that. And he's just saying to them, don't cripple businesses with crazy taxes. Yeah. Let them prosper. Let them make money for the country. Don't punish pensioners. Don't make it more profitable to sit on your backside at home watching telly than it is to work. It's common sense stuff. Yeah. But yet the current Labour Party just doesn't seem to get it. They're delusional. The current Labour Party are delusional. Yeah. They're full of far lefties who've hijacked the party, and we're never going to get them back to being
the centrist party they should be, looking after the worker.
You know, the Labour Party was formulated to look after the working classes. This Labour Party, from the minute it got into power, it has shafted the very people it was formulated to protect and take care of.
Yeah.
And those people are the ones that are turning on them now. I mean, it is lifelong Labour voters that have turned on them.
Yeah.
All those people in all those constituencies around the country in those recent elections, they are Labour voters. They haven't come from they haven't come from anywhere else other than from the Labour ranks, and they've gone to Reform ranks.
Can we talk very briefly about Meghan Markle's wedding dump? She basically shared a load of pictures to celebrate 8 years of marriage.
Yes.
To the wonderful Harry.
Yes.
Lovely couple.
Yes.
And in one of the pictures from their wedding day, there's a picture of King Charles. And people are saying that this basically is her trying to reach out and show that she still loves the royal family, and this is her olive branch to King Charles because he's the only royal pictured in the photographs.
I think you have to always remember with Meghan Markle that what matters to Meghan Markle is Meghan Markle. Nothing else, no one else, nothing. So there is a rumour afoot that her and Harry want to get back into this country. They want to come and live here because they have failed miserably in the States. They're a laughingstock out there. No one takes them seriously. They're not on any of the A-list to do anything, to go anywhere. Their major sponsors have dumped them. So they need to make money, and the only currency they have is that they're vaguely royal, and so for her to cash in on that, she has to come back here. And there's talk that she's gonna launch businesses from here. There was a big meeting last year between her and Harry's people, and the King's people. And, of course, that meeting was leaked. Who by, I wonder? Oh, Meghan Markle, hello. Because it doesn't benefit Charles to leak anything. So yes, the fact that she's doing this now tells me that they're ready to come back. And there was talk, if you remember recently as well, that Charles was going to give them Royal Lodge.
Yes.
That they took Andrew out of. Now, well, that'll cause outrage. I mean, if they do, it will cause absolute outrage. But as I say, whatever she does, it is not for anyone else but herself. And she's put that in because she knows of all of the royal family, Charles is the softest touch. But if they put a photograph of Wills out there, Wills would have probably sued them, got his lawyer and said, tell them to cease and desist. Yeah. But they've done it because Charles has said publicly he does not want to go to his grave not speaking to his son. And he wants to mend fences, and so
it's a good father. That's a good dad.
He is a good dad. I'm sure. I think Charles did his very best as a dad, but I don't see Charles rushing to make friends. If he really was, he could easily fly to America and see him. You know, Harry could easily come here with Meghan on a visit, and they could be received here. That's not happening. And every time Harry's been here alone, Charles has made, I was going to say excuses, but he's found reasons not to see him or not to entertain him. I think he's seen him once in the past 2 years. Yeah. That doesn't strike me as the dad who's rushing to make it better. I think it's a dad who wants to make amends before he dies eventually, because you don't want to go to your grave, estranged from a member of your family. But I think the bottom line for the whole royal family is they can't trust him anymore, and they certainly can't trust her. And, they've been rogue too long, the two of them, to be constrained by whatever rules and regs might be put upon them if they came back. Yeah. They're not going to take any notice of what the royal household says about what Buckingham Palace officials say. They're just going to do their own thing. and that could be very bad for the royal family.
Well, hopefully they can get it all sorted out.
Do you think so?
I hope so.
Well, it's nice you think that. I'm a realist. You're a fantasist.
Carole, how have you been enjoying this heat?
Do you know what? I'm gonna be a bit of a moaner mini here, because 34 degree in the heat when you've got no aircon is a nightmare, and it's a nightmare for my dog. I'm not sleeping. I can't concentrate. It's a nightmare. However. I know it's only a couple of days. It's going to be raining by Friday. But the bottom line is this country goes nuts when we get a couple of hot days. It drives me insane. I do not want to be lambasted with heat alerts, amber alerts. I don't want to be told to put sunscreen on. I don't want to be told by a weatherman to keep hydrated. I know all that. Only only an idiot doesn't know to drink water in the heat and to put a bit of sunscreen on if you're out in 34 degrees. But here we go. And then that brings out all the doom mongers that says 2 days of 34 degrees. Armageddon is on the doorstep. No, it is not on the doorstep. Climate change is happening, not at the rate that these people would have you believe. In fact, the frequency for national disasters, climate change disasters, has halved from the first part of the 20th century. So it's been reduced tenfold.
Okay.
And it's just, talk to scientists. Scientists are now saying, if anybody who cares to actually read the data, that they reckon they can keep global warming with the stuff that's already been put in place worldwide between 1.5 and 2%. Not the 6 or 7% Celsius they said it was going to hit years ago, and whole islands were going to be submerged, cities were going to be taken under water, crops would fail. It hasn't happened, and it's not going to happen now. So when you get a hot day, just take it for what it is. It's a hot day, and that's it. And today's cooler again. It's going to be cooler again by the weekend. 2 days. I mean, everyone keeps talking about this 40-degree heat we had. It was 1 day in decades. I'm able to remember 76. 2.5 months of this we had.
1776.
No, I did not say 1776. In 1976, we had 2.5 months of a heat wave. It was chronic. Go back to 1944. No, I was not alive then. That was worse than now. And global warming hadn't even been invented back then. So, I think, we can't deny it's happening, but we have got things in place to reduce the damage. Just chill a bit and just go into Regent's Park or wherever park you are, wherever part of the country, and just enjoy a nice cold drink and enjoy yourself, because it's not going to last long.
Well, that's it. That is the advice from Carole Malone. Just chill a bit. We should get T-shirts made with that.
Yes, chill.
Chill.
Yeah,
Chill a bit. Carole, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the hype button. If you're listening to us on Spotify, give us a 5-star like. Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now.